baptizing people. All right, that was in the Bible. Can we believe John dunked people's head under the water? Yes, we can believe John dunked people's head under the water. All right,
Are you just saying literally because we like some events in the Bible are true, that means that the rest of the Bible's true?
exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. So again, some of the events in Marvel movies are true. Does that mean the rest of Marvel movies are
But
true?
you're using something, use something back in the day of the Bible of whenever the Jesus.
Well, I'm trying to apply your reasoning
Well,
to
no,
another view to see whether or
you're
not it
applying
ends
my
at
reasoning, but
absurdity, and it
you're
clearly does
forgetting the
here.
age of the reasoning. You're still using something that is modern based to a ancient
I don't see
time.
how that's even relevant. You never even described to me how that was relevant.
How is that relevant? Because we're talking about the Bible. Do you think the Bible was written 2 years ago when the last Marvel movie
Dude,
came?
I don't think when the book was written has any relevance here.
Oh, I think that's where you're wrong on. I think when it is written is
Appreciate
the
the
reason
coral,
why
thank
it
you.
has the most like relevancy, you know? People didn't know nothing back then. I mean, they knew a little bit. We had
What do you mean? If so, is Hinduism true because it's older?
well, if there's certain things in Hinduism that make people believe that Hinduism is true, then yeah, you can believe
Yeah, that's why people are Hindus. What are you talking about?
it. Okay. Then you can be Hindu. I'm not going against being Hindu. But
No, but are you saying it's more likely to be true because it's older?
no, okay, now you're switching the thing. You're talking about you're trying to talk about religion now. First of all, most religions all have one thing in common.
Now?
No, like you're trying to differentiate from different religions. Well, why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? Why aren't you this? Because of this existed. We're talking about a God existing, all right? Whether that God is the Islamic God, whether that God is the Hinduism God, whether whatever that is, okay? We're trying to debate if a God exists, all right? And when I'm giving you the evidence that God exists, is I'm not going to be like, oh, look, here's God, and then God appears in my hand. That's not possible. I don't believe that. You don't believe that either. All right. And if I did do that, I probably would be able to do that. It would save me a lot of time. But the reason why I believe God exists is because we have a Bible. All right. The Bible is the structure of Christianity. We read the Bible whenever we go to church. There are certain things in the Bible that could logically happen, and then there's certain things in the Bible that through our research and everything that we think that could not have happened. Like we do not believe bears could have been spawned to go kill kids after trash talking a blind man. I don't believe. I don't. If I
Do you
saw
think
that,
snakes can talk?
do I think snakes can talk? Right now, I do not think snakes can talk. Do I think a snake did talk? Yes. Do I think that these things in the Bible were one-time occurrences? Yes.
Yeah, so again, here's my point is that you're using claims that did happen within the Bible to say that the rest of the claims in the Bible are true. And again, if you use that exact same reasoning and you apply it to any other circumstance, you're not going to accept it.
Parker,
Literally none of them.
Parker, that's what science does. Do you realize that? You know what
Oh
science,
wait, yeah, parcel tongue. Do you know parcel tongue?
huh?
Yeah, so Harry Potter has that too. Harry Potter also has like language that, snakes speak and stuff, right? So does that mean that it's accurate because it has something that the
Well,
Bible has that
well,
you consider to be accurate?
well, can you talk about not Harry Potter? I don't really know about Harry Potter. Can you talk about more of
What do you want me to talk about? Like,
I want you to put
what
I
examples? What
want you to give me
examples can I bring up to you,
examples.
Keegan?
I want you to give me examples from thousands of years ago. Whenever
What do I?
it's
Give me what ones I can and what ones I can't, please. I'd love to hear it.
anything between AC and BC, please.
AC and BC? What? What is that?
You don't know about time.
Anything between AC and BC? I don't know
No,
what that's
can you
supposed to be
give me a
referring
time
to.
period that isn't 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago? Give me you're using
Yeah.
modern ideology.
I don't. Again, you never explained to me why that's even relevant. Can you please describe that to me?
Okay,
Because like
the
all I'm
reason
trying to do is compare the
the
reasoning that
reason
you're
why
using to
the
justify
reason
this
why it's
stance.
relevant is because okay, so do you know anything about uh, um, astronomy?
Just trying to know some things.
Okay. So in astronomy, we learn about the history of astronomy, like the Greeks and all that. They believed that Venus was at the center of our solar system. All right. So people believe that Venus is at the center of the solar system, and everything evolves around us. I mean, there were so many different solar system models that were drawn, and I mean, we didn't know nothing. I mean, we were kind of dumb, you know. We didn't really know stuff. I mean, we had some scientific evidence that we use to this day, but we didn't really know that much. So, in order for the Bible to use certain scientific stuff that we can say, well, yeah, that is proven, is near to impossible. You know, do you
What's near?
understand?
It's near to impossible for what to happen. Sorry,
So,
clarify.
let me say this: it's near to impossible for these people to believe that the sun is in the middle of our solar system, right?
Oh, I don't think it's nearly impossible. They would have methods to determine this. Like I'm so confused, right? Like we had different types of
Let me ask you
models.
something,
We
Parker.
had
How do
different
you
types of
think the
models that could
pyramid
have been
was
the case.
built?
Some believed that it was like everything is like the Earth is in the center, everything is around that. Some believed that it was based upon the sun, right? There were different claims back then because you could like observe
So
the stars and
let me
stuff.
ask you something. How do you believe the pyramid was built?
What pyramid?
The
The like
pyramids in
Giza?
Egypt? Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate the feather flock. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So like what parts of it, right? How do they chisel like the
No,
things, or how do they
how
take
did
them?
we stack these very, very, very heavy blocks
The
on top
usage
of
of
each other?
slave labor, and there was like these different types of ropes that would allow them to like pull things on like things with like wheels that would allow them to like move
So let
the
me ask you this:
blocks.
do we have evidence of that happening?
Yeah, we do actually.
And where would that be sourced at?
There'd be like archaeological evidence for that.
And that is,
Do you want me to give you some?
yeah,
I can find that for you. I haven't looked at that recently. Do you want me to find that though?
sure. Yeah, I just want to know.
Right now.
Yeah, I want to know how these pyramids were built.
I don't know how that was related to the topic, but I can get that for you.
Well, I mean you'll see why it's related to the topic.
Okay. Um, all right, I guess. Can you explain to me why this is relevant?
Well, I mean, I could have used the Abraham Lincoln thing, but I think that's been used enough.
What's the specific?
We have more proof of the Bible existing than we do of Abraham Lincoln being assassinated.
Um, Not the Bible in itself. You have no. We have evidence that Jesus existed. What I'm disputing is the idea that Jesus resurrected, right? Because actually, the evidence that we have would indicate that it's most likely for Jesus to have been left on the cross to decompose after, instead of actually having a tomb. And many other historians like either reject the notion or are agnostic on the idea that Joseph Arimathea, the person who supposedly bought this tomb, even existed in the first place. And I can send you like you can just look up archaeological evidence for the Pyramid of Giza, right? Or you can just go. There's like one specifically from like Harvard that you can get up. There's like a timeline and stuff if you want to look that up.
Okay. So you don't have a source saying that how they built the pyramids, right?
Did I just name things off?
Yeah, I mean, you named off the Harvard. I mean, I can name off Harvard for anything. Well, I mean,
Appreciate the galaxy. Thank you so
but
much.
I mean, you haven't given me a direct source. Like, I want to know, like, oh, go to this website.
Is Harvard not a direct
No,
source?
no, Harvard is a source, but you're not giving me a direct source.
Do you want like the title?
Sure, I'd love to see it.
Archaeology at Giza.
So you have it on your phone right now.
Mm-hmm. Or you can look up, or you can just go to the first thing from the New York Post article that comes up when you first look it up. Appreciate the handout. Thank you so much. And it links towards like Daily Mail articles that go over stuff and link towards sources if you want to look there or read into it. It tells you like how the process happened. Again, I don't know why this is relevant.
Do they have any logical, I mean, other than assumptions on how this process happened? Do they have witnesses?
They have archaeological evidence, like
And
things that have been left over, things that they can see, in terms of like how, like where, like you can see what the stones are made of. You can see in the area where that type of stone is, right? And you can kind of understand like the process of where they went from, what different types of tools do they have at the time period to be able to use this type of stuff. And then there's also like, yeah, hieroglyphics as well. Like there's literally uh, you can see like the languages and the different pictures that they would leave behind of how they would also do it. Some try to cite that as like evidence for like aliens and stuff, but a lot of it's just like stuff that they were using to like carry stuff and use tools to like chisel the stone or stuff.
Okay. So if there's certain things in the Bible to prove that things happen, would you believe the Bible?
Yeah, if there's more evidence that could justify things
So
like
if there was
resurrection and
evidence
other stuff
for
like that, then there could be evidence to believe in the Bible,
so
right? But there literally is not.
so if there was evidence to support your logical things happening, right? Unlogical things happening, things that aren't logical.
There can't be evidence for illogical things, right? That's also my point, right? Like I already believe that this is illogical within the notion that it entails contradictions, right? We can talk about the problem of evil. We can talk about perfection based arguments that entail contradictions. I can bring up simplicity based arguments that say like you require less assumptions to explain it under a naturalist model comparative to like your God, right? You trying to explain it with your model.
Okay. So so how do you think we came? I mean, where do you think you're going to go when you die? Because that was my
I
original.
have no clue.
You have no clue. That doesn't scare you at all.
Well, I don't know why would what do I have to be scared? I feel like that's just like an irrational fear, right? To have, to be
Well,
honest, because like what am I going to be scared of? I don't even know what we're referencing.
we're scared of death. I mean, where are you going to go when you die?
I have no clue.
Okay. So you wouldn't you
What
would
am I going to be fearful of if I don't know what it is?
you don't know what death is?
And I don't know what comes after that. No.
No. So
Like if I just like naturally die of like old age in my sleep, right? I'm not really scared of that.
you don't know. You think
Like when
so?
I'm older, like when I'm way older.
So that doesn't scare you that your consciousness right now is just going to disappear and you don't know where it's
It's
going to
not
go.
going to happen now. This is like way when I'm way older.
Well, I know, but your consciousness when you're way older and you die and disappear, that doesn't scare you at all. That you're just gonna.
Not really.
So you just think you're gonna end up in a blank, huh?
I don't know what's going to happen, dude. I literally told you I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay. So if you don't know,
Do you know what's going to happen? Do you
yes,
have any idea?
yeah, and you want to know why I know what's gonna happen? Because
Well, how do you
I
know?
have I have a lot of faith. All right. I
Okay,
see.
I have faith that I'm going to be a Pokemon
I saw
master.
Lil
I'm going to
PP.
beat all the gym badges, beat the Elite Four. I'm going to be the champion of the Unova region when I die.
No,
I have faith in that.
you don't have faith. You're saying you have
I
faith.
do. I do have faith in that, man.
No, in order
Appreciate the
for
paper crane. Thank you so much.
Parker, in order for you to have faith, you really have to believe it. Like you just asked me that question. Where do you know? Where
It's
do you
just as justified as your worldview there because it's both based upon faith.
do you know what faith is?
Belief without evidence.
Huh?
Belief without evidence.
I mean, you could say that, but that's a very I guess you could say out of term reference. But what faith is, I mean, faith can mean different things, but in my opinion, what faith is it's something like you can say the grass is green. All right, you can have faith that healthy grass is green, right?
Have faith? No, we have understandings that like healthy grass, generally speaking, is green as the type of grass that we have.
Okay. So
We have evidence
if
of that, right? Like it's a fact.
okay, if somebody were to tell you, yeah, my grass is green, you could be like, yeah, I can believe you. I have faith in that. I have faith that
Because it's something that's likely to be true. I don't have to have faith. It's something that I can
it's
determine is likely
something
to be true
likely to
based
be
upon
true.
statistically
That's the
speaking,
point.
based upon like society and like the evidence that we have in
That
society.
that
So
is
again, we're extrapolating things from experience and from evidence that we can actually like substantiate. Right? It's observable, it's repeatable, right? We have statistics on like generally speaking, right, whether or not grass is likely to be green or whatnot. Right? If someone tells me this morning that they ate cocoa pebbles, right, it's probably likely. It's not like some super unlikely claim. But if someone tells me that they floated off the ground and levitated off the ground, am I going to believe that? If someone told me that they parted the sea, am I going to believe that?
well, you'd have to look
If
at.
someone told me that they cured blind people, am I going to believe that?
Well, let me ask you something. If somebody were to tell somebody else that planes crashed in to the Twin Towers before it actually happened, do you think that they would have believed them? because that's something that's so crazy.
It could have been very unlikely. You might not have believed them, but then
Yeah,
you
it could have
change
been
it based
very
upon the
unlikely.
evidence that is provided, right? Because unlikely claims like that, you're not going to believe until you have good evidence, right? But claims like me eating Cocoa Pebbles, I have no reason to lie about that. And if I did lie about that, it's not really consequential.
So if lying, what is the consequence if we are lying about God?
Well, you're following something with absolutely no evidence, so that degrades our process of being able to confirm or disconfirm things within society. That affects the types of policies that people vote on. It affects the level of critical thinking that exists in society. They have real impacts upon people. Like it really does, and that's why I do these lives in the first place. Is because I think that psychologically speaking, it degrades our process to determine what's in reality.
So if there is a scientific study that comes out that it does not that
Scientific.
if I mean, yeah, that said that. If there's a scientific study that comes out that says people who believe in God are happier than people who don't believe in God, would that mean believing in God is a good thing in a logical perspective?
Not necessarily, no.
How is that not a good thing?
Because it would be the case that we're doing so based upon ignorance.
So if people aren't happy, that's not good, huh? That's what you're saying?
No, it's happiness isn't the only good end result. It's about how we get to that happiness. Is that sustainable? Is it sustainable to have the happiness that we have as a society built upon something that we can't even justify?
Let me ask you something, Parker.
Doesn't that tell you that then the happiness is likely just to fade away so easily?
I mean, no. I mean, if you believe in it, if you have faith, the happiness is not going to go away.
Yeah, but there's nothing that's actually substantiating the faith, right? So the
Yeah,
faith is so easy to be
is. There is
fall.
because we have two
Like
question marks. We
it
don't
literally
know.
it can fall like that.
We don't know where we came from, and we
And
don't
also,
know
right, like I
where
want you
we're
to
going
listen
to
to
go.
this for a second, right? Throughout society, it has been the case that these different types of ways of thought have been used to legitimately control people, right? It is the case that divine kingship was used as justification to say that this is the king and you should not question it. It was used to control people because it is not using a process to show evidence or substantiate why someone should follow something or why it's going to be better for someone, but instead to just hear something to do and then to follow it. Appreciate the hat mustache. Thank you so much. Without question. So it's absolutely a mechanism of control, historically speaking,
So
right?
if
And that's
everybody
exactly what it predisposes you towards right now.
if everybody was a Christian, what would be the main reason of control? Why would they want to control us? What
No, it's a
power,
way that they can control you through, right? To get you to engage in particular types of behaviors,
such as?
such as allowing, not questioning, like the particular individuals in power and authority, right? To accept something without there being any type of evidence. Right? That's something that's existed throughout history. Again, like what I just explained with divine kingship. That was literally what was used.
I mean, there was stories in the Bible about people using Jesus's name to do more to tax these people. You know, that I mean, that's something I
Yeah, so like how do you know whether or not you're being manipulated if you have
if
no
I
process to confirm or
okay,
disconfirm their
Parker,
claim?
let me ask you
It is simply the case that you just believe it. You don't know if you're being manipulated. You don't know if you're being deceived.
what
You don't know if they're lying to you because you have no process to confirm or disconfirm their claim
what would
to
be
see whether or not their claim actually corresponds to reality.
what would be the what would I mean manipulation? If you're manipulating something, you're obviously manipulating something to get something out of it, right?
Yeah. Typically speaking, that would be control and power in this scenario.
Okay, so I'm a Christian. How is that manipulating me?
It's the process in which what you think, right? I appreciate that mustache. Thank you so much. You
How is it the
actually are
process of what I
manipulated
think?
to engaging in particular behaviors, like not say lying or having sex before marriage, other stuff like that, because you believe that you're gonna go to some hell if you die, and you
No,
don't
no, no,
believe.
no. That's not what Christians believe, Parker.
That is exactly what Christians believe.
I do not
Appreciate the
believe.
little crown. Thank
I
you.
do not believe I'm going to go to hell if
Are
I.
you are you a universalist?
Huh?
Are you a universalist?
In what sense?
Do you think that like everyone, if they believed at any point in their life, goes to heaven?
If I mean, I don't have it. I don't have enough evidence to speak on that, so I wouldn't be able to say.
No. Okay, so do you think that some people go to hell?
Do I think some people go to hell? Yes.
Yeah, so how do you know if someone goes to hell? If they don't believe? If they commit sin? What is it?
Huh?
How do you know if someone goes to hell?
Well, because it's in the Bible. I mean, that's why.
And what does the Bible say? It says that you go to hell if you don't believe, right?
I mean, yeah, that's what separates us between God. That's what I believe. That's my faith. Yeah.
So let's just think about this for a second, right? If you don't believe, you go to that hell.
Yeah.
So you are literally coerced and manipulated into believing that it's true with the threat of going to this fiery
But
hell. If I told you, believe that I am God, and if you don't believe that I'm God, you are going to go to this place where you get burnt alive for the rest of eternity. Eternal conscious torment. Is that not a coercive threat? I appreciate the handout. Thank you so much to get you to believe that.
well,
Is that not coercion?
you don't know if it's trying to save us. You don't
I
know if
appreciate
it's
the little
the
crown. Thank you.
opposite.
Is that coercion? Yes or no?
You don't know if it's the opposite. You don't know if it's
No,
for
wait. Save us from what? Save us from God,
save us from hell.
because God created hell, and God is sending us to hell. God's saving
How do
us
you how do you
from a problem. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. God, I appreciate those sunglasses. Thank you. God is saving us from a problem that God created Himself.
how do you know
Because
God created
simply
hell?
the way that I am judged is dependent upon the way that God wants to treat me for the things that I've done.
How do
Right?
you know God created hell?
Hmm?
How do you know God created hell?
Well, it's your view, right? God created all things.
I mean,
Everything that is not God, God created.
I do. Okay, so this is also another stance. Yes, God created all things. Do I think God
There you
created?
go. So you already believe it. God created
No, you're
hell.
not letting me finish my statement. God created all things. Did God create Satan? Yes. Did God create Adam and Eve? Yes. Did God create sin? No. But He created Adam and Eve that made sin. His creations have done other creations. I can build Legos. I made a Lego house. All right. I
Is He
believe
all
I am
knowing?
God's creation. Did God build that Lego house? No. I built that Lego house.
Is God all knowing?
God is all knowing. Yes.
Okay. So God knows that when He creates this, it's going to create sin. So you can't say that God created everything and then God didn't create something.
Well, God
Okay.
also.
God created everything entails that God created sin, because sin is a part of everything. You can't say God created everything and then not accept that statement when it relates to another scenario,
Well,
because then you're
you
contradicting
also have
yourself.
to think it. You also have to think of it in a spiritual perspective.
Okay. What's the spiritual perspective? Let me know.
So, if yes, God is all knowing. Yes, God is. God created everything. Yes, God gave us all free will. All right, just like He gave His angels free will. All right, free will is you have two choices. All right,
Anthony, thank you for the Venmo.
you have two choices. So He gave His creations free will, and He is all knowing of those two choices. They have free will
If I
to choose
create people
between
in a
those two choices.
simulation and I say either you have either thank you for the Mr. Orange, I appreciate it. Thank you for the little crown, I appreciate it. Either you do 10 hours of work today, or I am going to torture you for 10 hours, right? Is that like a free will?
Torture you for 10 hours, and what stance?
Appreciate the little crown, thank you. Is that free
I
will?
don't understand your argument.
If I create someone in a simulation and it's either that I torture them for 10 hours or they work for 10 hours, do they have free will?
And how does that relate to God giving free will to angels
I'm
and
saying I'm saying if there's coercion, right, then there's not free will. That's my point. Is that like if there's impediment by another actor, then there's not free will.
no, there is free will. He stated that He gave His creations free will, with
Appreciate it,
still
thank you.
being all knowing. Like I said, I give you the
Okay, so
example of A and
we'll
B.
add this point.
You
Okay,
you
it's
know
fine.
A and B, okay? So so you're all knowing. You know A and B. All right. You
Sure.
give them
So
free will. You get to choose between A and B. All right, correct? Are we following the same page?
yeah. So God is perfect, right?
Yes, God is perfect.
Okay. Given a perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
Huh?
Given a perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
If we're talking about God's perfection versus human perfection, it's two different things.
I'm asking you, given a perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
I
A
don't
flawless test taker, what do you expect to see?
like in the test of we're talking about like a math test, a science test.
Yeah, math test, sure.
Well, I mean, if it's a perfect math test, I mean you'd get every single question correct, right?
Yeah, 100%, right? Perfect free throw shooter, what do you expect to see?
All the free throws make it
All
in.
the free throws made. Perfect creator, what do you expect to see?
A perfect creator.
Yeah.
Well, now you changed it. You're going from human perfection to spiritual perfection.
No, I'm talking about spiritual perfection in general because we're talking about what's considered flawless. Appreciate the hand art, thank you.
Well, what's considered flawless in human perspective versus spiritual perspective is two different things.
We're talking about, I think of the crown. I appreciate it in context of Christianity.
And same thing in context of Christianity.
Yeah. So
If we have a perfect human,
perfect creator, what do you expect
listen,
to
if we
see?
have a perfect human on the world, we can see somebody like Jesus. Okay.
Hey man, perfect creator, what do you expect to see?
A perfect creator in the spiritual reference or in a human reference?
Either or. Just let me know. Please just tell me.
In a
I'd love
spiritual
to hear a
reference, I cannot
response.
answer that because I'm not any type of spiritual being. In a human reference, we would go back to you make all the 3 points, you get 100 on the test, you do all this stuff, but that is in a human perspective. That's not in a spiritual perspective. You have to understand the difference between
So perfect what? Perfect creation?
perfect in the stance that you are like. I mean, I like I said,
Well, I appreciate the hanging lights. Thank you so much, man. Answer the
I
question,
cannot
bro.
explain spiritual perfection.
Appreciate the Panther Paws. Thank you so much. Can you answer my question, bro?
What I mean, I thought I did. What's your question?
What do you expect to see?
And
Perfect creation, right?
if that is from if that's in a perfective on the world we live in, yes. If we're talking about a spirit, you have to understand the difference between a spiritual and
Perfect creator equals perfect creation. Okay. So if that is the case, are we created by God?
we are created by God. Yes, we are God's creations.
Are we perfect?
In the stance of what God has stated in the
Yeah,
Bible.
instance what a God thinks. Yeah.
Yeah, God stated in the Bible in
Okay.
Genesis, He made
Okay.
humans
Okay.
in His perfect
Okay. So
image.
perfect creator entails perfect creation. We're not perfect in God's eyes, therefore we don't have a perfect creator.
But why are we not perfect in God's eyes?
It doesn't matter.
No, it
It
does
doesn't matter
matter. It
why.
100%
It
matters.
is the case that we are not perfect and we're
No,
created
it
by God.
100% matters why we're not perfect in God's eyes anymore. You know why we're not perfect in God's eyes anymore? Because we're not perfect
What?
either. Because we made the wrong choice from
Because
choice A
we
and
made the
B.
wrong choice. How can we make the wrong choice if we're perfect?
How can we live with a God that's perfect if we're not perfect?
Again, we would be perfect if we were created by that God.
How would well if we were
Because
perfect?
perfect creator entails perfect
Okay,
creation,
if
right?
a perfect creator, do you think a dictator is a perfect person, or do you think giving somebody free will is perfect?
Dude, it depends. Like, there can be a dictator who is perfect. That is not
Okay, well,
contradictory
I
in
believe
terms,
being
right? We've never
perfect is
seen it,
giving. I
but there
believe in
can be a
being.
dictator that is
I
perfect.
believe in being perfect is giving all your creations free will, as what God has done.
Hmm?
God has given all of His creations free will. Yes or no? Yes, He has.
Sure, yeah. Like, again, free will is compatible with perfection, as God is free will and God is perfect. D, thank you for the superpower. I appreciate it. Mikey, or Miley, I appreciate the confetti. Thank you so much.
Yes.
What's your point?
So if God gave all of His creations free will, He's perfect, but that means His creation still has a chance of not being perfect
Why?
because He gave them free will.
But so does God. God has free will too, right?
I mean,
So
yes,
so
but
if they're perfect and they have free will, they're
God is
always
the
going to
beginning,
choose. Wait, hold
middle,
up.
and end. That's the thing.
If they are perfect and they have free will, they will always choose to do the right thing, right? Because that's flawless in God's eyes
If they're perfect in the sense of God's
of
perfection.
God's free will. I mean, God's
But God
perfect.
said He
Yeah,
made it in His perfect image.
yeah. So
Do you know what
God's.
God's perfect image is? Because I don't know what God's perfect image is. That's when
So
we
if you look
start
at
going to a
Psalms, if
spiritual
you look at Psalms,
perfection.
God defines perfection as flawless. Okay, so flawless within God's eyes would be like someone not sinning,
Well, how do you know that? Oh, well,
because
yeah,
sin is a flaw.
yeah. Sin is a flaw. Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
so we know human sin, right? That means that they engage in flaws. Therefore, they can't have a perfect creator because they engage in flaws. Appreciate the
No,
confetti. Thank you
no,
so much.
they
Under
do
their
have.
own view. So this is very clearly shows us
So
that your God does
you
not
stated
exist.
in Psalms, it talks about God being perfect, right?
Yeah,
Or
which considers it
God stating that
flawless.
His creations are perfect, which are flawless, and what are sins? Sins are flaws, right? So, are you saying that God's saying His creations are sinless?
That would be expected given that God is perfect. But that's not what we see, so we don't have a perfect creator.
No, no, we do have a perfect Creator.
No, we don't, because we're not perfect.
So let me ask you something, Parker. So, if you were to make your own world, and you were to put in creatures, would you let these creatures choose what they want to do?
Depends.
And no, it's a yes or no question. Do you want these creatures to choose what they want to do? It's an easy question. It's do you want to give
In
them
most circumstances, I'll let them choose. But yeah,
okay,
if they want to grape each
but
other, no. If they want to genocide each other, no.
okay,
If they want to do anything bad like that, yeah, no.
okay, you're perfect now. You're still perfect because you gave them the choice to do whatever they want. That's a perfect choice. They're made in your
I didn't give
perfect
them a
image.
choice to do whatever they want. You can choose to do whatever you want so long as it's not one of those things.
Okay,
No slavery, no none of those bad
so
things.
that would be imperfect, Parker, if you gave them free will, but you told them, hey, you can't do this and you can't do that, because that'd be imperfect.
No, that'd be perfect. That'd be so much better under my
How
view.
would that be
But
perfect?
uh, because perfect is defined by me, what's considered a flaw or flawless. I used your own definition of what's considered a flaw, and I showed that given your own definition of what a flaw is, it entails a contradiction with reality.
Which part in Psalms, just so I can get a
Yeah, I
uh
can pull it up. I got
because
you.
somebody also put a verse in, and I almost interrupted you because it's an amazing verse. I love it. It's actually one of my favorite verses, but many atheists use it to contradict God. It says God is
1830. Psalm
18.
1830.
God, it says, "I am the creation of light and darkness." It also is translated to the
No, it
creation.
says, "As for God, His way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in Him." Right?
He shields all who takes refuge in Him. Let me just view.
So
Okay, but anyway,
that defines
so
perfect as
there was
flawless.
another verse that says, God creates happiness and evil." Well, it's also translated to light and darkness, but I take it as happiness and evil, and that is true. God does create uh, happiness and evil, but He doesn't direct create. Okay.
I don't know what that means, but sure. I
And
appreciate
direct
the hand art. Thank you so much.
and
So can
direct
you
and
answer? But like you understand, like my point is that again, God, if He would have created them perfect, they would have never then been corrupted, right? As Jesus, right, was tempted by the devil and never succumbed to that temptation because He was perfect.
yeah.
So the idea is very clear to us that again, we are not perfect under God's own eyes. Therefore, God couldn't possibly be perfect, as a perfect creator would entail a perfect creation. So we just have contradictions with reality.
I mean, yeah. If you want to use human perfection on a spiritual perfection, yeah.
I'm not using human perfection. I'm literally referencing the perfection defined by your own book. It's literally defined by your own book. It's
And
not my idea of perfection. Right?
so,
I could point at the fact that God condoned slavery in the Old Testament as like not showing a perfection.
well,
I
then
could
you
point
can,
out many verses that I disagree with as not showing perfection under my own view. I'm
and
talking about
I
perfection
can
under your own view.
listen, Parker. I can point out the same thing. I don't think it was right that kids got killed by bears for making fun of a blind man. Do you think that's right? No, I don't think that's right either. But I can't. I don't have any stance in saying, well, God's not perfect because of that happened. I don't know what the
What are you
definition of
talking about, bro? I don't even know what you brought that up for. Come on. So
I brought that up because
let's
I'm
talk about the fact that your God flooded every fucking individual on the planet and killed innocent babies. Right? Do you think that was justified?
not God, so I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Does that take away their free will? Yes or no?
Does that take away whose free will?
The individuals that were on the planet at that time. Did God unaliving them with water, drowning them, did that take away their free will?
In the stance of whenever wherever they went, whenever they died. I mean, I guess, yeah. I'll just say yes.
Yeah, it did. So taking away free will in that circumstance is okay, but taking away free will within the
But they
circumstance
died.
of the Holocaust, right? Taking away Hitler's free will, that's not justified.
Taking away Hitler's free will is because he is a person. God's not a person
Wait, so why didn't God take away Hitler's free will?
because we're talking about biblical times. Hitler wasn't around during biblical times.
So I don't think that has to be the case. God's all knowing. God knows about any point in history.
Yes, God does know about every point.
Why did God let the Holocaust occur if He can just take away their free will?
Well, why are babies dying of cancer? I mean, it's the same exact question.
Yeah, again, you
Like
just
I
said that
said,
God
I'm
can
not
take away
into it.
free
I'm
will
not
because he did
God.
so in the context of Noah's Ark. He took away all those people's free will that he killed. If he did that, then he can do it in other
Well
circumstances.
then,
If there's a P3DO raping a child, he can stop that from happening,
well then,
take away their free
let me ask
will.
you a question. Do you know what happened to all these people after they died in the Holocaust?
No, I have no clue.
Okay, I don't either.
What's your point with that? I'm so confused. Do you
How
think
do
you
you
did
know?
something there?
How do you know that they like
Do you think that you did something there? Your God literally created a circumstance where they died where they didn't have to die. Your God preferred them to die, preferred them to get killed and slaughtered rather than to not be.
Okay, so then why is death
God
enough?
prefers
Okay,
child sex
I mean,
trafficking rather than no child sex
we can even
trafficking.
say God killed his own son. I mean, but where in the Bible where do you think that God dying is bad? Where do you think death is bad at?
What?
No, where do you think death is bad at?
You don't think it's bad to kill babies?
Huh?
Do you think it's bad to kill babies?
In the context of
What do you mean in the context of? It's a baby.
yes, I do. Yeah,
There's not a self-defense
I mean,
plea.
I'm not going to kill a baby.
Okay.
Did God directly kill the babies
Yes.
when he flooded the earth?
Yes, literally directly killed him.
Okay, how do you know that? Okay, so but that's not me.
So, but do you think it's justified?
Do I think it's justified that God killed the babies?
Yes.
Well, I'm not. Well, if it was me, no, I don't think that's justified. But I'm not.
No, you don't think it's justified. You disagree with God?
No, I don't disagree with God. I believe everything God did is perfect. God did everything for a reason.
Yeah, so what was the reason why God preferred the Holocaust to happen?
Okay, now you're going away from biblical times, dude.
I don't need to be in biblical times. Why did
Dude,
God
I,
prefer
I
the
asked you in the
Holocaust to
beginning of
happen?
the live to please just like whenever I first joined to just please keep it to times referencing.
I don't you never even gave me a reason why that's relevant. Why that was the point. Keegan, like actually it's so incoherent. I'm not joking. What is different about the different time periods insofar as that I
I've
can't
already
apply
told you the lack
concepts?
of knowledge, dude.
What do you mean the lack of knowledge?
Did you just like keep your ears closed whenever I was telling you about how they used to think that the
I
beginning was
listened to every single word that you said. You
in
didn't
the middle of the
justify it.
universe? I'm saying it's a lack of knowledge. Okay, from back then, being able to state these things is a lack of knowledge. All right,
What's the lack of
they
knowledge?
had
I'm
a
so
lack
confused what
of
you're saying.
knowledge. All right,
What does that mean?
you don't know what a lack of knowledge means,
Yeah, what are you saying? In what context?
and the context that yes, nowadays we can use things in the context of the Bible and say, well, the Bible's not right because of this. Well, yeah, of course, I can make a movie about everything that's happening in the world, and then at the end of the movie, just say, oh, believe in this, and then that would be as logical as the Bible. But that's not as logical as the Bible in my stance because it's not during the time of the Bible. You know, it's not in the time stance of we're going way back when people didn't even know if the world was flat or round. You know.
Appreciate the money gun. Thank you so much. I'm confused. What? How are you? I asked you for like something that was relevant in describing as to why I can't talk about modern circumstances insofar as to demonstrate concepts.
And did you just not listen to what I just said?
And apparently, I just did. It didn't click. I don't think I'm the only one that's confused,
Here,
bro.
let
Like
me explain this in dumb terms, since apparently it's nothing's working. All right.
I'm dumb. You think I'm dumb?
No, I'm not saying it's dumb. I'm just saying, I'm not
There's
saying you're
no way
dumb.
he just said that to me, unironically, bro. Shane, I
Okay,
appreciate the subscription. Thank
but
you so
let me
much.
explain
Like,
it in terms. All right.
there's no way, dude. There's no way you just said that to me. Like, that's actually unbelievable.
Are you upset?
Bro, yeah, when someone whose IQ is below room temp calculated in Celsius tells me like something like that, that's wild. Appreciate the cap. Miley, I appreciate the subscription. Thank you so much. That's fucking wild, bro.
Okay. I mean, you can get upset at that. I mean, I don't care if somebody calls me dumb.
No, I'm not like upset at it. I just think it's wild.
No, you
I
definitely
appreciate the
got upset.
sunglasses. Thank you
You
so much.
just
I think it's
admitted that you got
ironic. I think
upset
it's
at it.
ironic.
I just think it's funny that you admitted that you got upset, and now you're stating that you didn't get upset. But I mean, listen, it's fine.
Wait, did I say I got upset?
Yeah,
I must
you
have
did.
been mistaken then. I never got upset.
Okay. Anyways, back to the point. So
Appreciate the mic check. Thank you so much.
In the
Yeah, like when did I say I was upset? Can you let me know?
you said yeah, I'm upset when somebody with
Appreciate the
with the IQ below 10 Celsius or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I think I wasn't saying it in like a literal context there.
Sorry.
Appreciate the hand art. Thank you. Maybe I did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Anyways, so let me use something. All right. So we know how the universe is created right now, right? We know the sun is in the middle of the solar system, right? I need a right. All right. I need
Appreciate the sunglasses. Thank you so
I need
much.
acceptance that you understand that the sun is in the middle of the universe before I continue. Because if I finish this and you go, huh?
Dude, yes, of course I fucking know, dude.
Okay. Thank you for acknowledging that the sun is in the middle of the universe. All right. So now we're talking about way back when. So anybody could say the sun is in the middle of the universe and we believe it. All right. So now we're talking about before we ever had anything to prove that the sun was in the center of the universe. All right. If somebody at that time, that before we even believed that the sun was in the center of the universe, the world is round, a sphere, and is not flat. If somebody were to say that, they would be judged.
Wait. Where'd you get universe from?
Hmm?
Where'd you get universe? We were just talking about solar system.
I think I misspoke. The solar system.
Okay.
All right. So if we have somebody that says the sun is in the center of the solar system and the world is a sphere, do you think they're going to believe them?
The sun is in the center of the solar system and the world is a sphere?
Yes, the Earth is a sphere. Sorry.
Appreciate the love you. Thank you so much. Yeah, because there's observable evidence for that.
No. I'm talking about back in Greek days.
Oh, no, they probably wouldn't believe it until there's evidence.
That is the exact same point that I'm using why you can't use modern day versus way back when, because they did not know. They were like you stated. I mean, we're going to use your own terminology. They were negative 10 Celsius IQ. All right. Maybe it's because they didn't have the technology.
I'm so confused, dude. There's no fucking way, dude.
How are you confused?
They had a lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge of what, dude? How is that even fucking
They didn't even know
relevant?
what
How
it
is that
was.
relevant at all
was in the
to whether or not I can
solar system.
compare?
They
Hold
didn't
up,
even know
to
what
whether or
it
not
was.
I can to whether or not I can compare these different states of affairs to say that this is the same reasoning applies in the modern era. What are you talking about, dude? This is incoherent gibberish, bro. You have no clue what you're saying.
Incoherent gibberish, whatever you just said.
It ironically is, dude.
How?
I literally just described it.
So you believe that that modern times right now is just as relatable as times back then? That
If they're using the same reasoning, yeah, I don't see how time has any relevance. You haven't given me any good reason to say that time has any relevance. You just said that people would be ignorant or they wouldn't know something, which has literally no relevance to the initial point that I was making.
Do you believe that we've gotten more knowledge over time? Or do you think
Yeah, clearly we've gained more knowledge over time. That's not even relevant, though.
that is relevant?
Apparently it hasn't affected you, Keegan.
Oh my gosh, that is relevant.
Apparently it
How is
hasn't
that?
affected
Okay,
you.
I don't care if it's affecting me or not. All right, I got negative 10 IQ and I'm still talking to you.
I never said negative 10. I said below room 10 calculated in Celsius.
Okay, calculated Celsius negative 10. What is that, like negative 1,000?
I said below room temp calculated in Celsius.
All right, dude. 10 IQ doesn't calculate that. All right.
It would probably be like around 20.
All right. Well, listen, my 20 IQ, I'm talking to you and you're not understanding. Do you think you'd understand 20 IQ?
Would I understand it? Apparently I'm having a struggle to do it right now, so.
Okay, so let me let 20 IQ talk again. All right. So we can agree that over time we've gotten more knowledge about where we are, what the world is, different types of fish in the sea, right? All right. Yes. I need a confirmation.
We know different types of fish in the sea.
Have we discovered more types of fish in the sea? Have we discovered our world is a sphere, our Earth is a sphere? Have we discovered that the sun is in the middle of the universe? Or solar system. Solar system. Yeah. All right. Boom. That's the same exact point I'm using. We have all this knowledge. I mean, literally, we have.
Dude, us having more knowledge doesn't actually like take away from the concepts that I was demonstrating. I
No,
was
no.
talking about like, is it justified for me to believe in like Marvel, like in Marvel movies because like again one because like the same reasoning that you provided as justification in yours, you're not giving me something that's relevant to why I can't do that at all. I can't
No, I
compare
am
that,
giving you something that's
Keegan.
relevant. I'm giving
No,
you
you're not. You're
time.
actually not. You're literally just saying we know more. Okay, I've never disputed that we know more. Never disputed that once. I don't see how that's relevant. Appreciate the cowboy
Because
hat.
if we know more, can't we write more or make more movies that seem more logical, that seem more real, right?
Okay, and so wouldn't that kind of disprove your point?
How would that disprove my point?
That just because there is a point that corresponds with reality within it doesn't mean that it's right.
You understand that we're talking about the Bible, right? We're talking about people who wrote the Bible, all right? We're talking about everything in the Bible.
Appreciate the corgi. Thank you.
We're
Tell me something I don't know.
okay. So you know that, right?
You know 1 + 1 = 2.
No, I didn't. Thank you for
Do you
telling
know
me.
we're having a conversation about God right now?
Nope, didn't know that either. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. All right. So now you know people wrote the Bible. All right. So now these people, whenever they wrote this Bible, did they know all this knowledge about the world as much knowledge as we know about the world right now?
Why you keep making this point? I understand we have different knowledge. Yes, we have different knowledge.
Okay. Then how are they able in like Genesis and certain books in the Bible able to use some scientific facts? Like, I mean, they even spoke about dinosaurs in the Bible.
So, what dinosaurs do they talk about?
Well, they didn't directly talk about dinosaurs, but they talked about something that was eating a tree that was very tall.
Like maybe a giraffe?
Could be a giraffe.
We knew about giraffes then, bro.
But
Dude, Keegan, man, what point are you making, bro?
it could have been a dinosaur.
You're trolling, bro. You have to be trolling.
I mean, it very logically could be a giraffe.
Okay, come on, Keegan. You're trolling.
No.
Dude,
Can
come on.
giraffes eat
This
off
is
the
this
top
is
of a
this
tree?
is this justification?
Yep.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Bro, come on, bro. Please. Please, bro. Come on. Please don't tell me you actually think that's a good argument, man.
All right, that was a bad argument.
Thank you. I appreciate the confetti. Thank you. Let's go on. Come on. Please give me something of substance.
What? Proving things that aren't logical. I mean, like I said,
You can't do it. You literally
no,
you,
nobody
you,
can.
you can't do it.
Parker.
You can't prove something that's illogical because it's wrong.
No, no, no,
And proving it would
no,
indicate that
no.
you found
Reason
it
why
out
we
found it out to be
okay then
true. Appreciate the
if the
subscription. Thank you so much, Jillian.
world was if the universe was created logically, then why can't we explain it?
Well, just because something exists logically doesn't mean that we can't. Doesn't mean that we have to have the ability to
You
explain it.
almost said
Like
it.
for example, right? We didn't have the ability to explain the water cycle a few thousand years ago.
Yeah.
Yet now we have the ability to explain it. It doesn't mean that it didn't exist, right? Just because we didn't have an explanation, we just simply just didn't know at that time period. We didn't have the evidence to justify this.
Okay. So we know death happens. What knowledge do we have of what happens after death? We don't have any knowledge.
Exactly.
Does that
We don't
mean
know.
it's
So then you should
logical? Does that
refrain
mean
from
logical causation?
judgment.
Does that mean death is logical?
What do you mean is death? What do you mean death is logical? Yes, anything is logical. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. But we don't know how it happens. I mean, we don't know what happens.
Yeah, just because we don't know what happens doesn't
We don't
mean
know
that like a
where our
particular thing
universe
does
created,
happen.
but we know our universe is logical.
We know
So
everything is logical.
hold on, Parker. Could that mean that something illogical created something that's logical?
No, that's
Uh,
incoherent because something that's illogical cannot exist. It's not possible to exist.
It's not possible to exist that we know of. That's why
Oh
we
my
call it
God.
illogical, because we
Do you,
don't
do you,
know.
do you, do you think do you think a squared circle can exist?
Huh?
Do you think a squared circle can exist?
You're talking about
Appreciate the fruits hat.
you're talking about geographical shape.
Okay, can you, dude, please? Do you think that a squared circle can exist?
No, a circle has to have round edges.
Okay, so again, there wouldn't be edge. Okay, so the point would be is that there would be zero sides and one side that, or I mean four sides that can't be true simultaneously. I appreciate the little crown. Thank you so much. Do you agree? You can't have zero sides, right? I mean corners, right? And also four simultaneously.
Okay, but that's geometry. Yeah. Just like one plus
Yeah,
one can't
yeah,
be one
okay.
plus one
So
can't
the
be
idea
three.
is that you cannot have a contradiction, right? It can't be four and not four simultaneously. Okay? So I appreciate the orange. Thank you so much. So you're saying something illogical can explain something logical. That doesn't make any sense because if something is illogical, then it doesn't exist. Like that would be like saying a squared circle created the universe.
So you know what logical means, right? It's a reason or sound idea, right? I just
No,
looked it up,
logic refers to the law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle, right? It generally refers to whether or not things are themselves.
which is basically what I just said, sound ideas, right?
Well, sound, if you understand it in like philosophical terms, sure, right? But like, but that doesn't actually necessarily take into account, right? Valid would probably be a better way to reference it because valid just refers to whether or not it's consistent, whereas sound refers to whether or not it's true and consistent.
So
Appreciate the boiling cauldron. Thank you.
do you think Einstein's time of relevancy is logical?
What? I appreciate the orange.
Hold
Thank
on,
you so
let me
much.
look at Einstein.
Like relative theory of relativity.
Yes. Do you
Like,
think that's
do I think it's
logical?
accurate?
No, logical.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do think it's logical. Why? Because,
there aren't contradictions.
well, I was more stating of the mathematical facts. I mean,
Yeah, so like whether or not they correspond to the reality or whether or not they're
yeah,
just logical.
whether or not they correspond with reality. Yes.
Corresponding with reality is different than necessarily being logical. Something can be logical and not necessarily correspond to reality. Like it's logical for me to have eaten cocoa pebbles this morning, right? That's a logical point, right? But that doesn't mean that it happened.
But it could happen.
Yeah, because it's logical. It can't happen if it's illogical. So when you bring up, oh, what if something illogical can explain something logical? That doesn't make any sense because it can't possibly exist if it's illogical. You're saying it's itself and not itself simultaneously if you're saying it's illogical.
Well, I'm using it in the term that we use illogical, something that is not logical, So obviously it's stated that God is not logical, right? And so if I say God created the world, you're saying something illogical is creating something logical.
Well, because again, we brought up, no, I'd actually never even made that point that illogical creates something logical, right? But I would say
I
that, yeah,
made
your
that
view
point,
is illogical because it entails contradictions.
okay? And I would say he's illogical as well. I'd agree with you. But I would say he would still create something that's logical.
Wait, so we both agree that Christianity is illogical?
No, no. I believe that God cannot be proven.
So you agree that God is illogical?
I believe God cannot be proven
No, no. Do you think God is illogical?
in the sense that he can't be proven.
That's not what logic means, but okay. So if
Then
you
what
think
does
that God
logic
cannot
mean?
be proven, then
Okay,
why do you
then I'm
believe?
using the term wrong. What does logic mean then?
I just told you law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle. Law of identity being A equals A, right? Like things are themselves. That's
Okay.
generally what logic is going to refer to that, and then all the other laws derive from that,
Okay, so then no, I don't think
are derived from that.
I don't
You
think God
don't?
is illogical. No.
You
I
don't think
think
God
God
is illogical? Okay, so if you don't, so if you think that you can't prove God, then why do you believe?
if I don't think you can prove God, why do I believe?
Uh huh.
Well, it's the same sense of, like I said, if most Christians were happy, wouldn't Christianity be a good thing? You know, it's a sense of what it does to you.
Wait. If most people were happier believing that their family members are still alive, does that mean that it would be good for them to believe that?
I wouldn't see the reason why. I mean,
So
I
you think
believe.
that they should believe their grandparents are still alive,
I
even though they're not?
listen. I believe loved ones are still alive, but I believe they're alive in heaven. You know that what gives me easier departure.
No. We're gonna say biologically speaking alive. Like you think that they're still alive biologically speaking, right?
Well, biologically speaking,
If that made people happier, would it be good to believe that?
I don't think anybody believes somebody is still alive biologically speaking. But if there is,
Wait, some people do, and they're not actually alive. So like that would be delulu, right? It would be false
well,
belief,
yeah,
right? Again, the same way that you
there
believe
is
in
a
a contradiction here,
there is a
right?
mental thing where people do believe that they're dead.
Okay, but would it be just because, again, just because it makes people happier, does that mean it's good to believe? That's my question.
In the sense that it can be directly disproven, no.
So it's not good. Okay, so I can
So
directly
you
disprove
can't
your
directly
particular notion
disprove
of
God.
God.
You
What's
can't.
up? Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay.
So, like the Abrahamic religions, right? We can talk about perfection-based arguments that entail contradictions with reality. We can talk about the problem of evil, right? Like, you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good God, right? Essentially, what I would bring up to you is you think God is perfect, right? Did we already, wait? Did we go over I think we already did, actually, right?
Yeah.
So we can go over problem of evil. So since you didn't really understand the perfection one, we can talk about the
No, no,
problem of
I
evil.
understood the perfection one. You
Oh,
just
you
don't.
did, and you thought it was good, right?
No, you didn't
Or
understand
was that
what.
the other person? There was
No.
someone else who thought it was good earlier. I can't remember.
Well, no, I stated that perfection is a different and spiritual term.
It's different in a spiritual perfection. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so let's just talk about the problem of evil, right? So God is free will, right?
Hmm?
God is
Um,
free will, right?
I, w- am, I mean, if I were to, it's a question that I don't have any proof of answering. But if it was my opinion, and I could definitely be wrong about this, yes, I would believe God has free will.
Yeah, it would just follow with the statement that God had the ability to create or to not create. If God had the ability to create or to not create, well, then he has free will. Okay, so God is free will. Can God do evil?
Can God do evil? No, because God is perfect.
No. Okay, so you can have free will and not have the ability to do evil.
Unless you're not God. If you're
Wait,
if,
why
so
does it only apply to God in
so
which can do that?
I can be perfect, but I could still have the ability to do evil
Why?
because God gave it.
That's saying that you're flawless and you have the ability to engage in a flaw. That's a contradiction.
Yeah, because of free will. It's an A and B choice.
Okay, so if God has free will, then that means that he can do it too. So he can do it, he just chooses never to do it because he's perfect.
No, no, not in that stance. What's God? God is a definition of perfection.
He's flawless. Okay, so again, he's flawless, which
So he can.
means
Okay,
he's
so
never
if you're
going to do
asking the
evil,
question, if
even though
he can
he has free
never,
will.
he can never make a flaw. Yes, he can never make a flaw.
Okay, so the same thing would be true with humans that are perfect and that have free will, right?
No,
Why?
because human perfection versus God perfection is two different things.
It's the same perfection in terms of God's terms.
Which is where
Flawless.
and
Under
that's
God's
stated.
notion of flawless. So like they won't sin, right? Because again, they're perfect,
Where does it say
even
that
though
at?
they have free will.
Where does it say that at?
Where does it say what?
That God said his creations will not sin.
Oh no, this would be expected given that God. I appreciate the galaxy. Thank you so much. God doesn't want sin in the world, right? So it's already entailed in the books that like sinning is something that God doesn't like or is against God's preference. So if it is the case that it exists in the world, God would say, I don't want this to be the case. God would say, I don't want there to be lying. God would say, I don't want there to be sex before marriage, right? So if there is a world in which has no sex before marriage, right, compared to a world in which has sex before marriage, holding all else constant, they both have free will. God is going to pick the world in which there is no sex before marriage because that's what God has a preference against because it's a sin,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Okay. So if we're essentially saying this, My point would be that is there a probability that I can do the right thing today, like every single time, like never sin?
Well, you're born with sin. Sin isn't sin isn't something that builds on like Lego bricks. Sin is something that you always have.
That didn't answer my question. Can I do the right thing today every single time? Can I not sin today?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I cannot sin. This was a possibility that I can do that. Okay. Well,
well, no, it's not a
God sees.
possibility because you're born with sin.
Okay, if it's not a possibility that I don't have free will, I can't do the good thing.
I mean, anybody could do a good thing,
I can. Okay, so if I can do it, there's at least one possible
but
world where
doing a good thing isn't repelling sin, and doing a bad thing isn't like adding sin. Sin isn't like Lego bricks.
doing a bad thing is a sin. What?
Doing bad things is a sin. Yes, that is a sin.
Yeah. So why'd you say doing a bad thing doesn't add a sin?
Because it's not Lego bricks, dude. You're not
I don't know
adding
what you're
another.
talking about.
God's not going, oh, you did this. Here's another one. Here's another tally. It's not a tally mark.
It actually is. What?
Actions. It's actions you are doing that is like,
Yeah, you sinned once, you sinned twice, you sinned 3 times.
okay, dude. All right, just continue with your point.
Okay, so God is all knowing and all powerful, which means he sees every logically possible world that could have occurred, right? And in one of these worlds, right, every human being on the planet freely did the right thing. Because there's a probability, even if it's 0.00001%, right, that I did the right thing today. And that same question could be asked every single day of my life. So again, even if the probability is 0.00 times 200 million times 0 and then 1%, it's still one possible world that God sees in which all of us did the right thing. If we all did the right thing, right, that would mean that we still have free will, did the right thing. So there's a world in which there's free will and no evil, and a world in which there's free will and evil. Okay? So holding all else constant, both worlds have free will. God would prefer the world with no evil over the world with evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then since we exist in the world with evil, that tells us that this God does not exist, as we would expect a world that did not exist with evil, because free will does not entail that there is evil, like logically speaking.
Free will does not entail that there is evil. Well, like I said, that's logically speaking, but we're okay. So in the sense of think of it that I mean I think I've already stated this. So I'm just going to be recording an old record. It would be God. I believe we are God's creations. All right, God's creation has free will. Like I said, think of it like the test. You can choose A or B. B is the sin. B has already been chosen by Adam and Eve. All right. So that means no matter what this baby does, it is always going to be born into a sinful world. Okay. So when this baby, everybody's born sinful. All right. Sin is not measured. It just is there. You're born into a world that's sinful. You're automatically sinful. You're automatically separated from God. We are not perfect. That's what sin is imperfection. All right. And the Bible, God tells us the 10 Commandments. These 10 Commandments are things that we should follow in a sense of the ability to make it
Wait,
through.
by the way, if I can't choose to sin, right, and I just sin regardless, then how can I be held responsible?
How can you be held responsible? Because you're born into this world. That as soon as you're born into
Yeah, but it's not something that I did.
and it's
That's
not
like
something,
saying that I could be held accountable for something that like my ancestors did. Do you think I should be held accountable for something my ancestors did? Like responsibility speaking?
um, in all honesty, Parker, yes.
Which things? Like I can be responsible for things that exist in our current society that could be reinforced by like say me or by other people that are like me or something, right? But it doesn't mean that it is the case that I'm responsible for the initial actions. I appreciate the superpower.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
you're not responsible for the initial actions, but if your family goes inbred and you come out as inbred, is it your responsibility that you're inbred?
What do you mean your responsibility? Like, did
You're,
they cause themselves to be inbred? No.
if if there is a mutation that happens, is it your responsibility that the mutation happens?
No. No, because I didn't cause it.
Okay, but do you still have to live with the mutation?
Yeah, you still have to live with it, but that doesn't mean that you caused it.
No, we didn't
Okay.
cause sin, but
So
we still have
wait,
to live with it.
so
Hold
if
on.
so for
We
example, let me
didn't
ask you a
cause sin, but
question.
Let me still have to live with it.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say my mom drank during pregnancy, and then I was born with FAS, fetal alcohol syndrome, right?
Okay.
Am I responsible for that, or was my mom responsible for it?
Are you responsible? Well, let me ask you something. I mean, yeah, you're responsible for your own life, right? That's the
I'm
point.
responsible. No, my mom is responsible because she caused it. That doesn't
But
make any sense to say that I'm responsible for it because I didn't cause it.
okay, yeah.
Appreciate the Panther Paws. Thank
So
you so much.
your mom is responsible for it. All right.
Okay, so again, it would be the case that you're responsible for it if you caused it. If humans aren't causing the sin and instead it's something that they're just like born with, right? They don't
No,
cause it.
but
Well, then how can they be held responsible?
originally humans did cause sin. That's the thing.
Okay, but that wasn't me, right?
No, it
So
wasn't
Adam and
you.
Eve caused sin, and then that means that I'm responsible for it.
Yeah,
Why?
like I said, the same exact meaning. If you have a mutation, I mean, and you're born, you're still going to have that mutation. You still have to deal with
Like
it.
it's
Right?
still going to exist around me. I'm not disputing that. Like I'll deal with the consequences, but am I responsible?
Are you responsible for the original actions?
Yeah.
No, you aren't.
No. Okay. So if I am not responsible for this, then how can I be held accountable for this?
How can you be
Does that make sense?
held accountable for being
Yeah.
born into a sinful world?
Yeah. Would you hold a pregnant person accountable for being pregnant if they were raped?
No.
No, because they didn't cause it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you say that you can't hold them responsible for it if they didn't cause it.
Yeah, you can't hold them responsible, but you could still hold them responsible if they do things that are sinful. And the stance that, yes, everybody is born with sin, but whenever God is the judgment day, he's not talking about the sin we were born with. He's not going, curse you because Adam and Eve sinned. He's going, why did you commit adultery? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Well, I didn't know God. Well, God is all knowing. God knows that I knew. I can't make the excuse, well, I didn't know God because God is all knowing. That means God is all knowing in the sense that if you say, well, God, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never heard about you before. God is all knowing in the sense that He knows if you've heard about Him or not. You know. Do I believe that people? Hold on. Now this is another belief. Do I believe that individuals that have never heard about God go to heaven? Yes, I do
By the way,
believe.
I just want to point out that you do so sins do stack one and two, they do get marked off because God marked them off and then saying, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do this? God couldn't say, why'd you do all of these different things if God didn't mark them down when you did them.
God marks down our actions, not our sins.
Our actions are sins that he marks down. What are you
Our
talking
our
about?
actions are sinful.
Yeah, so then sins could be marked down as they are actions.
But if I go up to heaven and I say, "Well, God, I did all these good things," I'm not going to be let into heaven.
Okay, I don't know what your point is with that.
My point is that no matter what stacks on what, the it just doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter about what good I do. It doesn't matter about how much evil I do.
It does matter
It's
how
not
much evil you
measurable.
do, right? It is measurable.
It's not measurable.
God's all. Wait, how is it not measurable if God's all knowing? That's like incoherent. God can measure anything, that's
Okay,
logically
okay, then it's
possible.
measurable to God. There you go, Parker.
Yeah, that's the whole point I was bringing up. So God does. Okay, so the point I'm also saying is that again, let's go back to the problem of evil. There's a contradiction here, right? God has a choice between a world in which there's free will and sin and a world in which there's free will and no sin, right? Given that God
How do you know that
picks the
God has
world
a
in which
choice?
there's sin over the world in which there's
How do you
not
know
sin,
God has a choice?
how do I know God has a choice?
Yes.
Because, well, we already established that in the conversation. God is free will.
Parker, let me ask you something. If you train this dog and you tell this dog, do not piss on my carpet, and that dog pisses on your carpet, are you going to be mad? You feed the dog, all right?
I'm not going to have a dog, but sure, it depends on the circumstance. Probably not, generally speaking, but maybe.
Okay. That's the same. God told us, do not do this, all right? We did not listen to him. Think of it as a mutation. Now we
Okay,
have to live
can
with the mutation.
God knows that we were going to do that. Did you get my point though? That God sees all these different
God, oh,
worlds.
hold on. God
Debbie
knows.
Grimes, I appreciate the subscription. Thank you so much.
God
Did you get my point
knows.
that God sees
God
all these different?
knows that we're
Hey,
going.
mate, God sees all these different possible worlds. God sees the worlds where we sin, where we piss on the fucking carpet, and God sees the world where we don't piss on the carpet. If I could see all these worlds where freely my dog either pisses on the carpet or freely they do not piss on the carpet, I would prefer the world where my dog freely does not fucking piss on the carpet. Okay? Do you agree?
I mean, yeah. If it was
Yeah, right. So like God is going to prefer the world, right, where again they freely do not engage in sin, right, over the world in which they freely engage in sin.
how do you
Because
know?
God has a
How do
preference
you
against
know?
sin the same way I have a preference against the dog peeing on the fucking carpet.
Well, we know God has a preference against sin. So don't. Isn't that the same reason why He told people not to sin? That's why He told them not to eat from the tree, because He has a preference against sin. All right. You tell your dog not to piss on the
Yeah,
carpet.
yeah. So if he has a preference against sin, that entails that all else constant, he's going to prefer a world without sin. Okay?
He does
There
prefer
we
a
go.
world without sin.
Since we don't exist in this world
That's
without
why He
sin,
told
even
Adam
though
and
wait,
Eve, do
hold up.
not do this.
Since we don't exist in this world without sin, given that we could have, it tells us that this God does not exist, as that world would have been actualized rather than the world we exist in
How would
today.
that world be actualized?
Because that's the expectation that we would have for your hypothesis, for your explanation. Because
Hypothesis.
God doesn't like sin, God has a preference against sin. So any way in which God can't achieve that,
You
so that's
think
logically
God,
possible,
since
God
God
would
has a
engage in.
preference, since you have a preference of your dog not pissing on the carpet, that your dog's just not going to piss on the carpet.
No, if I could
No, because
actualize a
no,
world in
this
which
is
my
the thing.
dog freely does not
Parker,
piss and shit on the carpet, right? I'm gonna actualize that world.
Parker, this is the thing. Your dog naturally has free will, right? Your dog can run outside.
No, my dog doesn't have free will.
So a dog can't piss on carpet
They piss on carpets, but it's not out of free will.
because they need a piss.
I don't think it's out of. I don't think they have the rational capacity to make that choice. Otherwise, that's just what they do.
So you don't think dogs have free will?
Yeah, I don't.
So you, so you don't.
Is that a wild take? I don't think dogs have free will. Like what?
That's like something Dr. Blitz would debate.
Oh, Blitz debates that we don't have free will.
And yeah, okay.
I would debate him on. I'm a compatibilist, so essentially, there's just a semantical difference between me and Blitz situation. Blitz is essentially saying that, like, oh, there's like a causal state of affairs that leads us to engaging in particular actions. Sure, right, but we get to act upon whether or not we want to engage in that action, right? Because we have reflection processes to be able to do one thing or the other, whereas that same thing would not exist with the fucking dog, right?
Okay, let me use something that does have free will. Do you believe that there's any animal other than human beings that have free will?
I don't know if they would
Let me
meet my
just use
criteria.
okay. Let's just use okay.
Maybe there are some animals that would meet my
we can agree
criteria.
humans have free will, right?
Yeah.
All right. You tell your friend, listen, dude, please, if you're gonna piss, lift up the toilet seat. All right. All right. He doesn't lift up the toilet seat, and he pisses all over the floor and on your toilet seat. Okay.
Please let me know what you're trying to demonstrate here. I'd love to hear.
I'm using the same logic of a dog, but dogs apparently don't have free will, but I will use humans.
Someone please save me, chat, please.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say, man.
Okay. Well, I see a lot of people asking for next, and I'm going to do what the chat says.
All right, sure, man. Appreciate you coming on, bro.
Discussion. I'll talk about the piss later with you.
Okay, have a good day. Let's go to the next person, everyone. If you like my content, follow me if you haven't already. Keep tapping that screen, everyone. Let's try to get to 500,000 likes, everyone. It should get out to more people. Share the live, everyone. Let's try to get to 500 shares. But yeah, let me go on to the next person. Again, if you disagree, send a guest request right now. Please only send a guest request if you disagree, y'all.
Hey man, what's
up? How old are you?
18.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
What's your birth year?
June 18th, 2005.
For sure. Do you think that God? So why do you think that God exists? I mean,
Well, before I talk about that, you could argue all day long, right? So I'm only gonna be on here for a minute because you could sit on here, argue with people all day long, but you're never gonna agree with them. It's never gonna change your mind. I feel like you know that. You're probably gonna deny that, but you know that's not gonna change your mind. Okay, and because of that, you have to actually seek God. If you really want to know if God is real, you have to seek him yourself. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but whenever you're at the lowest point of your life, it could be 10 years
By the
from
way, do you
now.
want to debate? Yes or no?
No, I'm just gonna be on here
No?
for 10 more seconds, all right? Because
Nope. Nope. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
22.
Yeah, do you think that God exists?
Yeah, I do.
Why so?
Um, well, I feel like it's a lot more realistic than just a Big Bang happening from nothing.
Yes, I don't believe a Big Bang happened from nothing, and also that's not the only other thing than a God existing and creating the universe.
So you don't think you don't think the Big Bang happened?
No, I believe the Big Bang is happening still, right? I just don't believe that that is necessarily what we can determine is the beginning of all existence.
Okay, so how do you think the Big Bang happened?
I don't know what caused the Big Bang, right? But we do know that the Big Bang is happening and that the universe is expanding because we observably see it, right? Like we can see red shifts within the universe that tell us that things are moving away from us. We can see the cosmic background radiation photons that indicate, again, essentially like smoke from a gunshot of the expansion. Nice ghost, bro.
What?
Nothing.
Parker, what are you even saying right now?
I said nice ghost, bro.
I don't know what that means, but
Okay, was it just me, chat? Everyone else heard it. Let's be real.
all right. Well,
Dude, you tried to play that shit off, bro. Isn't that a sin?
sure, but everybody sins.
Oh, but you're doing it on a live, bro.
I
You
wasn't
did it
trying
in
to-
front of almost 4,000 people, bro. That's wild.
Damn, there is 4,000 people in here. Well, I don't really care, but it's a sin. God's not gonna send me to hell right away for it.
Well, you just promoted doing sins in front of 4,000 people, so I don't think God likes that.
God doesn't like things a lot of people do, and they still.
He really didn't like that one. He listened to that. You did it, and you're trying to justify you doing it. So God is not liking this right now. You're gonna hear about this on Judgment Day.
Actually, in the Bible, there's nothing that says
Blair, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it.
there's nothing that says smoking weed is a sin. So,
Oh, so it's weed. We just thought it was another normal vape. So.
oh yeah, it was a normal vape.
And you're 18, right?
I'm 22.
You said 18 earlier, didn't you? Because
I
you
said
said 2005.
I just turned 22.
That's tough, bro.
October
That's tough, dude. That's tough. He said 18. He said 18, chat, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, chat? He said 18, right? Yeah. He said 22? Oh, I'll add him back up. Send a guest request back, man. I apologize. I thought I remembered 18. My bad, chat. My bad. Fuck, chat. I've done that a few times. I apologize. We will get him back up. Send a guest request back, bro. That was the other person. See, my memory just like goes back, chat. My memory just goes back and does that. Does anyone remember his name? He said he was born 2005. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're gonna go to the next person. All right. If you like my content, follow me. If you haven't already, everyone, tap that screen. Let's try to get to 500,000 likes. Everyone, if you want to help get out to more people, share the live, y'all. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
Yo, I'm 25.
For sure. Do you believe in God?
I believe in a higher power. There's got to be something out there.
Do you believe in one of the Abrahamic religions?
No, I don't know much about that.
Okay. I am just looking for people with the Abrahamic religions, but I appreciate you coming on, man.
Okay, thanks, brother.
Thank you so much. Yeah, everyone, again, we're just looking for Abrahamic religions, gods. That's what we're looking for. I don't really want to debate pantheism. Honestly, I'm good. I'm not trying to debate pantheism. Yo, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 18.
What's your birth year?
November. 2004.
2004, November?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that God exists?
Yeah, I do. I do believe
Why
that
so?
God is. I have a question for you.
Go for it.
Do you think that God created evil? Like if you did believe in God, like hypothetically, would you be like he created evil?
Jace, thank you for the Venmo. Sorry, say that one more time.
Like hypothetically, when you like debate Christians, are you like, do you think that God created evil?
It depends on the Christian.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say like, because you were talking about like free will and about like how you believe that if God created an earth, you would want him to prefer the earth with free will and nobody sins or whatever.
Yeah. God would prefer a world with no sin over a world with sin, all else constant.
But wouldn't that be just like a bunch of robots?
No, as like it is the case that like it's logically possible for me today to do the right thing in every single scenario, right?
Well, the Bible says that like every man sins and there's no man without sin, so that's like not possible.
It's then I don't have free will. If I can't do the right thing, then I don't have free will.
What do you mean by that?
You're saying if I can't do the wrong thing, then I don't have free will. Well, if I can't do the right thing, then I don't have free will.
It's not a matter of you're just not gonna do it because we're sinful in nature, the fall of man.
But I can do the right thing.
But you're not going to. That's the thing. If you were Adam and Eve, you would have done the same thing.
If it means that I can, it means I'm going to in at least one logically possible world. Okay, that's the point. So when we talk about logically possible worlds, we're talking about what could have been, right? And there's an infinite set of logically possible worlds that could have been. I could have this morning ate Cocoa Pebbles, right? This morning I could have ate Cinnamon Toast Crunch. These are all different possible worlds that could have existed, right? Given my free will, right? Different things that I could have chose.
Okay.
So it is the case. That again, if I can choose to do the right thing in every single scenario, right? There's going to be at least one possible world where every individual does the exact same thing in every single scenario, even if the probability is 0.00 100 million zeros and then 1%, right? It's still going to be the case that at least one possible world that God sees, every single person is going to freely do the right thing. So there's still free will, and they're doing the right thing in every single scenario.
But God is not entirely focused on you just being sinless. He's more focused on you believing in him. That's not Christianity is not about being sinless.
You would believe in him if you were sinless.
What?
Isn't it a sin? Isn't it a sin for me not to believe?
Yes.
Okay, so then if you were sinless, then you would believe.
What?
Yeah. If it's a sin to not believe, then if you were sinless, you would believe. I don't see how that doesn't follow.
Yeah, but you can be sinful and still believe in God.
I'm talking about if you're sinless, you will believe in God, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if everyone is sinless and they freely did the right thing in every single scenario, then what would be bad about that reality? Tell me, please.
There isn't anything bad about that reality.
God would prefer that reality, right? Because God prefers a reality with no sin over a world with sin.
Okay, so
thank you for fantastic. I appreciate it. So God, knowing this reality exists, God has the capacity, the power to actualize this world. But God doesn't actualize this world. But that's right, given that He's all good, which would tell us that either God prefers sin, which is a contradiction.
But then you're like, not everyone believes that sin is sin though. So I'm
talking under God's view, not my view. I'm not saying that I think it's wrong. I'm saying God thinks it's wrong.
Okay. But God created man to have free will. So if he created man to have free will, not everyone's going to be like, oh, I want to follow what God puts in the Bible.
Yeah, not in every single scenario, but there is at least one scenario where they freely did.
No.
There is no. Wait, what's the no about this?
Because if you create something with free will, it's not always going to believe what God wants it to. Because then if he created
I never said that. I never said in every single circumstance it is going to believe what God wants. I'm saying in at least one circumstance it does. In at least one of the infinite set of circumstances that could have gone and could have happened, right? They do. And they freely did it. So there's no reason why God would not actualize this world under your worldview, right? It would be expected that God would actualize this world rather than the world that we exist in today. And that's what tells us your God doesn't exist.
I still don't fully understand what you're trying to put.
What's not making sense?
Because you're saying if God created everything and he wanted a world without sin, he would create people that would not sin. Is that what you're saying?
Freely. That would not sin freely.
But then...
Because the only way you could say, oh, the reason why there's sin is because there's free will. But the point I'm bringing up is that free will does not entail sin. And if free will doesn't entail sin, there's at least one world where they freely do the right thing. The same way God freely does the right thing. Even if it's unlikely to happen, there's still at least one world where this happens. And God sees it, and God has the power to actualize it. And God would actualize it given he's all good. So we know
No,
exactly what God would have actualized. We know exactly what God would have done in this scenario.
God is bound to his will, in which he gave everybody free will.
And that both these worlds have free will. All
Okay,
these worlds have free will. I'm just talking about the different things they would have done given their free will.
have you ever read the Bible?
I've read aspects of the Bible, yeah.
Aspects of the Bible. So this is the only reason that you don't believe in God is because
There's a contradiction.
that's okay.
Yep.
That's not necessarily a
No,
contradiction.
there are many other reasons I could provide, but this is a contradiction that's very
Okay,
blatant.
what's another contradiction? Because obviously we're gonna
Yeah.
run around in circles with this one.
Yeah, God is perfect, right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
Say that. Wait, what? Say that again.
Perfect test taker, what do you expect to see?
No mistakes.
Like they 100% on the test.
Yeah.
Perfect free throw shooter, what do you expect to see?
Yes, 100%. Okay. Yeah, where are you going with
Perfect creator, what do you expect to see?
this? Perfectness. Yes.
Perfect creation.
Yeah.
Are we created by God?
Yes.
Are we perfect in God's terms?
No.
Therefore, we don't have a perfect creator.
Well, no. That does not.
Perfect creator entails perfect creation. We are not a perfect creation, therefore we
Okay.
do not
Okay.
have a
Listen.
perfect creator.
Listen. If I'm a creator and I create something that's perfect, that's only gonna worship me and is never gonna do anything wrong, and I know that it's always gonna worship me, that's just creating a bunch of robots. That's
No, because
not
they have free will.
no. But
But again, you're now going back to the argument about free will and about the problem of evil. This isn't the perfection-based one. The perfection-based one just says perfect creator entails perfect creation. We do not exist in a perfect creation, therefore we do not have a perfect creator. Simple. Those are two arguments that end in contradictions into your worldview. I can also give you an argument that relates to theoretical simplicity, which essentially states that I have less assumptions in a naturalist model than you would under your model. I don't have to assume there's heaven, hell, demons, angels, God fucking walks on water. Appreciate the epic GG. Thank you so much. Like parts the Red Sea. I don't have to believe in any of these miracles. All knowing, all powerful, all good. Mind. I don't have to believe in any of those, and I can still explain why we exist. Set of fundamental particles that exist eternally, right, prior to our existence. Explain why we exist because they have the necessary properties to explain this reality rather than another one. In the same way that God has the necessary desires to bring about this reality rather than another one.
okay. Do you believe that Jesus was real?
Yeah, I believe Jesus existed as a person. I believe Jesus was crucified on the cross. I do not believe Jesus was resurrected.
Okay. There's multiple studies that have proved that he did resurrect.
Studies? Give me
Yeah.
one.
I don't
Give
know.
me any study. Give me any study. I'd love to see
I
it.
don't know
A study
them.
that proved Jesus resurrected on the cross. I'd love to see it.
Just go to Theist Brooks' page and you'll be enlightened.
Yeah, Theus Brooks, tell him to stop dodging a debate with me and Danny. I sent him a
Well,
message ago, like months ago, that I asked him prior when he came on my live platform. I said, you can come on whenever you want. He didn't respond. I said, I extended the offer again. I said, come on my platform. I'd love to talk to you sometime. He read the message and didn't respond.
well, because you just run around in circles. You don't
Appreciate the
really.
confetti. Thank you so much. No, I don't.
Okay. Well, all right. Whatever.
Literally, I'll talk to any Christian. If they want to talk to me, they can. I go live every single day. Right? If they'd love to set up a time with me, I would talk to them.
I believe that nothing anyone will say will make you change your mind.
Give me an argument, and I'll absolutely change my mind if it can respond to the contradictions. But these are contradictions. You can't change my mind if there's a contradiction. Because
You
my
think
mind
it's a
is built upon the
contradiction,
facts of
though.
reality. No,
You
I
think
don't think it is. It is a contradiction.
No, no. You saying that if there's a reality where everyone picks to freely not sin, then why didn't God choose it? If God chooses that, then that means he created robots.
No, because they have free will. By
No, but
robot, you
them
mean they don't have free will. So you can't say they have free will and don't have free will simultaneously. That'd be a contradiction. So they have free will, clearly. Right? It is the case that this is one thing that they did with their free will.
I no, that's just something we won't agree on, but that's chill.
Because you're not willing to accept real arguments against your faith. I really don't think you are.
Okay, well, I don't entirely base my faith off of facts, because that's not really what faith
You
is.
base it on your feelings, yeah. So feelings over facts.
No, not just feelings. I've seen the workings of his power in my life, so it's more than just thinking about
What working power?
what.
What power?
Like I was diagnosed with asthma